In this episode, is Bitcoin beginning a short-term retracement back down to this exact target to find support and reestablish this 7-year support line for the first time in the last 7 months as support once again? And as Schwab, Bitcoin has a fair amount of support, many levels below it, guys. We're above some of the most critical, in fact, all of the critical support on the entire Bitcoin chart. So we have massive support. There's literally zero reason to get your panties in a bunch. And in only 2 days, what level will Bitcoin have to close this weekly candle to be our absolute highest weekly candle in almost 3 years? And as well, yesterday, the SPX actually got a very nice bounce at its 21 and 50 day moving averages converging right around 3,400. Is this a good sign? And as well, what are the chances that the election and everything is already priced in and Bitcoin has the green light to absolutely lift off? And as well, guys, 2 days ago as Bitcoin was breaking to new yearly highs, I said that a retrace here can happen just as quickly as it's pumping. However, for the last few months, Bitcoin has been on one of the most stable trajectories, the most incremental increases that we've seen over the past 3 years. And again, that is a very good sign for stability and coming growth in the Bitcoin market. Wow, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to an extremely Bitcoin webisode. We have a lot to be jumping, dumping, pumping, and large lady rumping in to this extreme webisode. So much going on with Bitcoin, and actually after massive pumpage over the last few days, we're finally getting our first taste of consolidation. But how long will that consolidation last is the thing that everybody is definitely thinking, perhaps. Unbelievable. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you get updated when we upload time-sensitive webisodes like this, guys. And as well as always make sure to subscribe and leave your comment below to enter for these Schledgers, an equivalent in BTC, or access to T4, your choice if you are the wiener. And as well, we have a free tutorial here on T4, so if you want to check that out, it is 5.5 minutes long right here under preview, trading tutorial updated. Dirty dumpage. So guys, we've actually gotten a small pullback for Bitcoin's price, and this is extremely expected. As we tweeted just a few days ago, guys, this will be, obviously we're going to get a pullback, and we're going to be talking about my biggest pullback areas, more likely pullback areas, and as well some targets to the upside, guys, because ultimately, again, this is no surprise to anyone. This is still extremely bullish. There's consolidations in every market after jumping, over $1,000 in just a few days. In fact, I think it was actually $2,000 in the last few days. So this is a very strong weekly candle. We opened this weekly candle about 11.5 and we ran all the way up to about 13.2. So about an $1,800 weekly candle so far. Now, what's most critical here, besides the fact that we bounced off of this absolutely key bull market indicator RSI level here of the 54, what's most key here is that we get a weekly close anywhere above 12,000. And guys, we're over $800 above that right now, so we have a lot of room. And there are two targets that I'm looking for on the downside over the next few days, but ultimately, as we stated, as this was happening, this structure right now has been broken in an extremely bullish way. So regardless of what happens over the next week, we have done something that we've been waiting to do really for the last 3 years, right? So this is still ultimately such good confirmation here on these charts. And again, we could be in for a day or two of more sideways trading and consolidation like we just came out of here. But again, guys, overall, extremely big for the space. Muy bueno. Because as we were breaking out of this symmetrical triangle here, obviously, so the actual breakout target of this, full breakout of this was only about 12,000 US dollars. But as you can see, we hit that and we just kept on sliding to the upside. We absolutely just kept on totally exploding. And there were some levels of consolidation marked on this chart as we were going up, and as well just some longer term areas of support and resistance that I have marked on here that are actually on longer time frames, but I just have it on this hourly chart so you can see it. So far, after we break through the 12.9 roughly, we head down to the 12.8. On these smaller term time frames, I don't think there's a lot showing up on this hourly, but if we go to longer time frames, we can see some more key areas. And honestly, in my opinion, the most important thing that I'm watching for right now is that the only time that we've spent any significant time under this 7-year trend line began right here. And this, obviously, I've gone over this a million times, so I'm not going to waste your time too much. But this is back in the crash that started in March because of what happened in March around the world. And this is the very first time that we spent any significant time below this for like 7 years. Okay, we spent about a month here back in 2015, but we quickly got above that. You see a very big dump there as well, but then we instantly came back above it, and we literally found support on it dozens and dozens of times over, I mean, what? This is like an entire 3 months more trading, just so many times, right? So over the last 7 years, it's been critical. It's where we found support as well back in 2018 as we entered and we started forming that ascending triangle that blasted us up from about 4,000 or even lower. I think it was, 3,200 all the way to 14,000. That's where we found support. And we actually found support there as well back in February with the head here forming of this inverse head and shoulder. This is where we found support. But again, ultimately, guys, the reason we fell was because of what happened around the world, which, again, a black swan event is something that is hard, well, literally impossible to put into or to factor into technical analysis. That's why it's called a black swan event. But regardless, we've been trying to maintain above this ever since then. So ever since March. So for the past 7 months. And again, this is one of the most recent, in fact, the most significant breaks back above this. Ultimately, guys, I would love to see this remain support now, as we've dumped below it a few times ever since going below it in March. So ultimately, for me, I want to see this hold, and this is a line that lines up with a lot of other things as well, but it's the 12.2. So holding 12.2 is the biggest pullback area that I'm looking for. However, the most substantial pullback in a bull market, if we actually zoom out, and this plays out on a higher time frame, so this would be more on a bi-weekly or even monthly time frame in terms of when this would happen, but a pullback to the 21 weekly, which again, right now it's all the way down at 10.6, and I don't expect us to actually go down there anytime soon, but I do expect that we revisit the 21 weekly once the 21 weekly, maybe in like a week or two, in my opinion, once we actually start curving up more with this weekly. So similar even to one of the last times we had this cross of the 21 going above the 50-day, where we pump up and we kind of find support at a level you can't see on the weekly chart, but eventually where we do find support and then resistance is around the 21 week. And guys, if we go back to the last time something very similar happened with Bitcoin, as we were breaking these Fibonacci levels of the 786 and the 618 and trying to break all-time highs here, what we saw was a continuous revisit to the 21 weekly over and over and over and over again. And in a bull market, a revisit, a test, and finding support and a bounce at the 21 weekly is exactly what you want to see in a bull market. So again, if we're truly entering a bull market, which I absolutely believe we are, we've begun, all right? We might be 1% through it, but we're still extremely early in to a very, very bullish breakout for Bitcoin. What we want to see ultimately over the next few months, if this does continue, is finding support on the 21 weekly, which means getting dumps, getting pullbacks to the 21 weekly. So ultimately, I definitely think we're 100% going to visit this 21 weekly over and over and over again over the next year, at least, in my opinion. But in the short term, what I'm looking for in terms of a pullback is actually 12.2. And as well, that perfectly lines up on this daily chart here, again, where we have this, we want to test, we just broke back into this channel. As soon as we broke back into it, we jumped like $1,000, actually more than $1,000 in Bitcoin's price. And if we came back down to visit the 12.2, which is exactly right here, we would be cementing this and trying to find support here like we tried to do back in September. And we did hold for a while, but we ended up falling back below it and then testing it for resistance for about an entire month and then yet again for a few weeks. But that also lines up with this level of support here, right around the 12.2. So that's ideally what I'm looking for. Essentially, what I'm looking for in terms of pullback is 12.2, and then on a longer time frame, which I think will happen after we get a move above potentially even 14,000, ultimately would be another pullback to the 21 week, which again, if we break 14,000, obviously the 21 week will be much higher up than it currently is, as it's currently about 10.6. So that is the pullback target, but again, the biggest area to the upside is literally just this last high, significant high that we haven't broken back in June of 2019, June 26th of 2019, and that is the area of about 13.8, which is huge. And that, just like this downside target, also lines up with this level here on this ascending channel for the last 6 months, and this blue line represents the very last level, the very highest level that we achieved in 2019, and the absolute highest level that we put in the last 3 years, aside from the blow off top at the very beginning of 2018, end of 2017. So as well, in your comment below, make sure to include what pullback area you think, and if you think it's likely that we'll break 13.8 before November is over, right? I definitely think before November is over, it'll be extremely, extremely likely. There's a possibility that we could even do it in the next week, the last week of October. So again, we're getting a small pullback here. Some of the RSI and some of the indicators are a little bit overbought right now. So again, this gives it some time to even out. It gives some time to consolidate here, as even in the strongest bull market, things always consolidate and things always pull back at least a little bit. So as well, make sure to leave your comment below, and as well subscribe if you're new to the channel so you can get updated when we upload new time critical videos like this. And as well, for experienced traders only that are also looking to support the channel, make sure to sign up with our Bybit link below, up to an additional $390 for trading when you deposit on Bybit using the link below for the next week ending on October 31st, 2020.